Greetings, slackers. It is December 21st, 2016, and it's the winter solstice. And so here's some news I want to share with you. As we are walking out of 2016 and heading into 2017, there's going to be more issues surrounding your privacy and your data. And so I want to read this article to you as it contains some nuggets in it that relate to a previous video and article that I had read to you about the smart dildo and the data that was, being gathered from it. So here's what it says, and this is over on the register.co.uk. If you bought a dildo in Denver, the government must legally be told. Okay? And this is Or Smut in South Dakota, Anarchist Cookbook in Alabama, or Windows 10 in Wyoming. It goes on to say here, online retailers in America will soon be required by law to disclose to state governments what purchases their customers, meaning you, have made. The extraordinary situation is the result of a long-running legal case that the U.S. Supreme Court this week refused to hear. This means a decision by the 10th Circuit requiring out-of-state retailers to report to the Colorado state government the details of all purchases, including what that purchase was and who bought it, stands. So if you bought a dildo in Denver, some bureaucrat is going to be informed about it. Colorado is not the only state pushing the requirement. Vermont will also make the same requirement 3 months after Colorado starts imposing the law. And other states, including Alabama, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Wyoming, have approved similar rules. Unsurprisingly, businesses and privacy advocates are up in arms, and rightfully so. The executive director of NetChoice, a trade association of e-commerce businesses that includes eBay, PayPal, Google, and Facebook as members, Steve Del Bianco, said the decision, quote, set the stage for the rude privacy shock to American consumers. Quote, state governments will receive data about residents' purchases, including personal health products and politically themed books and movies, Del Bianco noted. The exec director of the American Catalog Mailers Association, ACMA, Hamilton Davison, is also extremely concerned. Quote, consumers, particularly those who buy from catalogs and e-commerce merchants, put considerable trust in the businesses from which they make the most personal of purchases, he noted. Quote, this decision undermines this trust by requiring remote sellers to report to state tax collectors on the buying habits of their customers, including healthcare products, apparel, or other sensitive items. Why? The idea behind the law is for state governments to be able to claim sales tax on purchases from companies that do not have a physical presence in the state. With the explosion of e-commerce companies, particularly giants like Amazon, states that do not have such companies' corporate offices are losing out on what could be millions of dollars in sales tax. Legally, the question has revolved around a physical presence requirement that was reached in a 1992 Supreme Court judgment. That's Quill Corp v. North Dakota. Under that decision, it was mandated that sales tax obligations could only be applied to companies that were physically based in the state. But that was before the internet took off, and the states are arguing that the law should no longer hold. 3 years ago, the Direct Marketing Association, DMA, challenged the Colorado law that obligated any company with sales over $100,000, but which did not collect Colorado sales tax on sales to customers in the state, to provide the state government with annual reports specifying details of sales to specific customers. The DMA said the law broke the Commerce Clause, and an appeals court agreed. So the state appealed to the 10th Circuit, which refused to hear the case and punted it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court passed it back down to the 10th Circuit, which then made a ruling in the state's favor, i.e., out-of-state companies would have to report their sales to specific customers. So the DMA appealed that decision to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court this week refused to hear its appeal, or one from the state of Colorado that would have overturned the Quill physical presence requirement. Challenge. All that means that the 10th Circuit decision stands, and companies like eBay and Amazon will have to start filling detailed reports on sales to the Colorado state government as well as other states that have passed similar rules. See above. At the moment, all of this has only really been noticed by the legal profession and e-commerce policy wonks. But as Net Choice Executives Director Del Bianco noted, now that it is law, it's almost certainly going to come as a rude privacy shock to people living across the country. While it is understandable that states who want to make sure they aren't missing out on millions in sales tax thanks to online purchases, the end result is somewhat shocking, and with online retailers resistant to the idea for obvious reasons, it's not entirely clear what's going to happen. Given the Trump administration's willingness to go beyond and what has been normally regarded as any red line, it is not inconceivable that anyone who purchases, say, a copy of the Quran could be placed on a watch list. For that reason, the law is almost certain to be challenged again and in short measure, which means that although the Supreme Court has refused to hear this particular case, it can expect another on the issue to land at its door in 2017. So, as you can see here, with this article, you have these different acts that are passed, and these are never elevated in the mainstream media. For the most part, they keep you focused on other things. And so real matters that are of core issues, they don't touch that. They don't highlight it. They don't bring it to your attention. Alternative news and foreign news, on the other hand, typically does a better job. And they will inform you if you're interested in knowing. But see, this sets the stage, as this article pointed out. And as you've heard by now, if you've watched the other videos related to the smart dildo case, this is data that's being collected by the state now. So your purchases on Amazon, eBay, whatever, they're going to start being tracked. And there are some privacy implications that we need to be concerned with as this moves forward, because why should the state know about everything that we order? Why should it know about the type of books that I'm into reading or the type of music that, I'm listening to? And the same goes for you. If you wish to share that with someone, that's your right and privilege to do, but data shouldn't be gathered about you, basically check marking off all these boxes, identifying, the real you. Not the one that you pretend to be, but the real you, okay? Because one of the things that they've noticed about social media and social sharing, people tend to be more themselves online, their true selves. So these are core issues that we need to be concerned about. This is my sort of little public service announcement on the issue. But let me know what your thoughts and comments are down in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this article and this video. I'll catch you in the next one.